And welcome back, everybody, to the WoW Nightcap. My name is Flattus. With me, always, across the table, enjoying a beverage with me. This is my good friend and co-host, Talan.
What's going on, folks? How we hanging?
So, apologies for not having an episode last time. Talon was healing, and
Still am, but yeah, that seems to be a recurring theme. Working with small children puts you susceptible to all the germs and all the bugs. So, apologies, folks.
Yeah, but time to heal, time to play more remix. So, gonna go in and we'll start first of all. Just going over World of Warcraft dropped. World of Warcraft Miss Pandaria remix dropped, and it's been overall fairly successful. It's been uh seems that the amount of people playing it is high, the amount of people creating alts is high, the amount of people enjoying it is high. It has way more interaction than and way more people talking about it than Plunderstorm. Um, but to be fair, Plunderstorm was a PvP event, and not many people like PvP, so that's understandable. This is very much a alt catch up experience. That's what I'm going to call it, experience. So I'm gonna open it there, explaining what it is, and I'm hoping that as you're listening to this, that you have tried it at least, or at least rolled a character on and at least dipped your toes into Remix. So the first question I think we must ask ourselves, like, what's the temperature in the room? Talon, how are you feeling about it? Do you like it? You're indifferent? Is it just, is it like, are you confused by it?
So I like it, but I'm also very confused by it. And I'll explain that later. But the things that I like about it, I enjoyed Mists of Pandaria, and what I wasn't expecting. First, let me just set what my expectations were. But this is part of my own fault because I typically don't read data mines. I don't try to look too much on the forums or anything like that. I basically try to go into every piece of content as blind as I can without any hype or anything else outside of just like the announcements, right? So this was my expectation, that we were going to go into Mists of Pandaria and that we were going to be able to do whatever we wanted in Mists of Pandaria right from the get-go. So what I was really excited about was to hopefully go to the Timeless Isle, right? And that is what it's called, right?
Yeah.
The Timeless Isle, and just go do the Celestial Court over and over and over again, and just be super, super OP the entire time, and just wreck stuff, and then do the Fire God over and over, and like do all the jump puzzles and do the Blazing Way, and like I was really excited about that part. I've got to do that, but I didn't get to do it right at the start, so that was the confusing bit for me. I did not expect this to be play through Mists of Pandaria, but just be OP. I was not expecting to have to level through the campaign again and like do quests again. Now, don't get me wrong, I have enjoyed visiting all of these quests all over again because it was a great time. The first time I enjoyed it, and then now being able to go back through it and do some of the scenarios and things like that. But now just being super OP, it's a whole lot of fun. Excuse me. It's just been a whole lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. I like it, but I still am very confused about why it is that, like, it's almost like Mob Classic without the classic restrictions. So that was something that I echoed maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago. That when I was basically going on a mini rant, like, how many times are we going to do a classic until like we've caught up to retail? And that's kind of the feel that I'm getting, but that doesn't mean that that's necessarily a bad thing.
I get that. I don't know. I feel like you could just go anywhere. Like, I could be wrong, but I feel like I mean, right off the rip, I know you have to get they have to introduce because people that didn't play Pandaria, for example, like producer Susan, starting off with the dragons and being like, all right, here you go. This is kind of like threads and how, like that starting area was helpful. I get that, and like I understand why you have to do that. But I think right from the rip, you could have just hopped on your dragon and taken off. I don't think you had to. I think there was somewhere where they're like, "Hey, this is the content available at what level?" Where was that? Like remix content. Thinking of the name of it, it's like remix content uh levels. Because I think I want to say like rating started at 25,
Mm-hmm.
and like you could, and then like dungeon started at like super early, at like level 7, and the oh god, I forgot the name of them. The scenario started at like level, I don't know, those started early too.
Like
So
10 or 15.
yeah, like start like this, everything started super early. Um, so I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, hey, like it wasn't just like right off the rip I could go. Um, and I can kind of see that because like there's some things that still stomp you. Like there's
Oh
some
yeah.
things that don't. Like what Susan and I, like the first day we did, I was like, oh look, a Zandalari, world boss, right? As like they have a chance of dropping the Triceratops mount. So I was like, oh, let's try to kill one. Not real, and I forgot, that that was content that you did at, it was a point like whatever, point 2 or point 3 patch. So that was all high end world bosses. Totally forgot about that. Got slapped real quick. But I was like, well, I've learned a thing. So as we're gearing though, clearly Blizzard's like fixing things and changing things, and I wish there were some other changes they would make. But me personally, as going through, I'm having fun doing the questing because Susan's never done really the questing of Pandaria, so we're doing all of that. Susan also has a second side character, and she's just doing the rep grinds, and it's taking her like 3 days to like max out Exalted on all the reps, and it's also power leveling her character. So, and the amount of stuff, like it seems like no matter what you do, if you go through the story, you're going to get a lot of achievements, like remix achievements that give you threads and bronze, like buffs, like huge buffs. And if you go other routes, you're just going to power level.
Mm-hmm.
So I think ultimately, yes, I agree with you. Like, I feel like they should have just uncapped everything and said, you go wherever you want, have fun wherever you want, right? Like just right from the rip. Like, but then still has some caveats of, all right, yeah, rating starts at 25, right? Like we just want to make sure you have some threads under your belt, and by 25 you should be able to kind of hold your own on any class and character. Like you kind of don't want like a brewmaster monk going in and tanking at level 1 in a raid. You probably don't want that, right?
No.
Like but like level 25, a little more doable, a little more acceptable, a little more flexible with that. Um, so I could see those caveats, but I agree with you. There's some things I was like, all right, but anything overworld zone, anybody should be able to go anywhere and do whatever they want. Like so, there I agree with you. I think it's like those are some minor lessons that they're learning, and hopefully they take away from this in the long run. Um, but ultimately, I'm having fun. Like I can't wait to max out my first character, and then go through it again, and then have a cloak that's kind of already like boosted and like have 100% XP gain. So my next character just starts flying through stuff, and I might go a
Right.
different path at that point. Like I don't need to go through and do the story quests again, right? Like I already got the achievement. I don't know if that's per character. I don't think it would be, but I could be wrong. So
Well, even then, like if this is just prep for the war within, like all of that's eventually going to be shared anyway. So like it's a good way to prep for that regardless. But like here's the other side of it too, that And I'm not trying to be nitpicky because me too. Like I'm having a great time. This is fun. Like this is the first time I've ever like actually played a mage, and I'm playing as a frost mage on top of that, which is not, if you are familiar with any of the content that I do or that I run or that I'm a part of. Casters and mages as a whole really aren't my jam, but I am loving just being able to be super overpowered and run over everything and turn into a chicken, and just like wreck stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I also really wasn't expecting this to be, and I don't want to water it down, but to water it down and kind of reduce it to it's like, is this a very elaborate cloak quest?
Yeah.
Because that kind of what it feels like a little bit. Now this is the best cloak quest I've ever done. I will say that because this is just a whole lot of fun. But it just like, I don't know. I would have liked to be able to go just like you said, like right off the rip, hit the ground running, um, and like do all the things. Um, and so there is a little bit of a curve to it. So
I I don't feel like it's a cloak. I think the cloak is just your like OP jacket, right? Like that's the thing that you're leveling. Like they had to put the stat stick somewhere, and the stat stick was
the cloak.
arguably arguable. Oh boy, I'm not saying that word right. Arguable. Everyone knows what I'm going for. It's just it's hard out here.
Arguably, there
Thank
we go.
you. Oh, that you don't want to do you don't want to do a legion again and give everybody a weapon, right? Like we've done that already, and that still some people have a sour taste in their mouth by that, right?
Hmm.
This is all automatic. Like I don't feel the like it's like okay, like you right click and like bloop, bloop, and I'm like, oh, but cool. Well, I have 6+ more experience, or I have 30 more stamina, and all of a sudden, like I'm just blah 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 blah, and like I'm just like just powered, I'm just goosed up all of a sudden, like I'm just jacked up. Like anytime I have the and it just comes from anything I potentially kill, which is great. Unless it's frogs, we'll touch that on that later.
Oh
So
my gosh, yeah.
yeah, so it's and that's fine by me. Like I'm okay with that because I don't feel like I'm powering the cloak. I feel like I'm just powering myself. The cloak just happens to be the placeholder for that. And then once I'm max level, that all that extra power also feeds into it's shared, a percentage of it is shared off to my alts, which is great. That means when I start my next character and I want to zoom that character up to the max level so I have it ready for alt leveling for the War Within um I'm sorry, gearing when the War Within pre-launch event starts. I'm gonna be stoked because I'll be able to like go and just gear a bunch of characters pretty quickly. Be like, all right, I can go gear my warrior up, dude. Warrior's done. I can gear up my brewmaster monk. Brewmaster monk's done. I can gear up whatever I play next. Rogue. Rogue's done. So on
Well,
and so forth.
and I'm really looking forward to that part. So when you take all the other like nitpicky things that we've kind of talked about, and you look at it from that standpoint, holy crap! It's like you're going to be able to do all of that really really fast. And they weren't kidding when they said it's going to be super alt friendly, and that's kind of going to be the way that you get ready with your secondary and tertiary characters. I really didn't know what to expect because we've heard that before, and I'll be real honest with you, I didn't quite believe them. Gonna be real, just like gonna be honest with you, I was hopeful, but being able to do it that way does make it a whole heck of a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah.
and because I will say, gear does drop like candy. And if it's not gear that you can immediately upgrade, you can turn it in for bronze, and then you can upgrade stuff pretty quickly. But just like you'd mentioned, the cloak is just powered up no matter what it is that you do. You get something for doing something, so it's not just a bronze farm. It's not just a gear treadmill. It's whatever you decide to do, you're going to see some sort of benefit from. And it's going to help not just the character that you're running on, but also every other character that you decide to try to level or just interact with through this entire process.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. Like that part I'm okay with. Like I like the idea of like you have a character, it's overpowered. That's cool. Keep it running, keep it moving. You'll nuke things quickly, you'll go through quests quickly, you'll go through zones pretty quickly. Like, I feel like we're completing a zone fairly quickly, like, almost a zone and a half a day. If we were playing every single day, it'd be like a zone and a half a day, depending on how many hours we're playing in that day. And that's just story content. That's not even the dungeons or the scenarios, that's just the zone content. Which is pretty good, and, like, it's giving, like, Susan some context for some things, like, which she didn't have, and
Oh yeah, like meeting Rathian for the first time.
yeah, like
That was
that. Yeah, like that. That was really funny. She's like, "What the hell is this?" I was like, "That's Rathian." It's like, "No, it's not." I was like, "Yeah, it is." The hell's his model? I was like, "He's a baby." I was like,
Yeah,
"What?"
he's baby Rathian,
The baby
which
Rathian.
actually brings like this makes a great segue if you're ready to move on to the next part, or do you want to talk about the frogs?
We could touch on the frogs really quick, like, I so, as we always know,
We did something very naughty.
I
We
didn't.
being the player base.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. The greater, the royal we. The everyone went and booped frogs, and everyone got in trouble for booping frogs. Which I didn't think Blizzard was gonna boop people back. I did not know they were gonna do that. I felt
Yeah,
like,
that was for all the things that they could have done. That was not one of the things that I thought that they would do ever.
yeah, yeah, I felt like they were just gonna nerf the frogs and nerf anything that came after that, and been like, no, 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 don't do that. And be like, all right, well, they just nerfed it, everybody's OP. And instead they were like, no, 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 we're rolling everything back. I was like, okay, well then. All right, Blizzard. Chess match, I guess. Like,
Yep.
which good on them. Like, I'm glad that they took a stance, and their stance was like, hey, this overpowered you very quickly. Now in a content, I understand. I'm of two sides. Yes, I'm on the side of like you, where it's like, well, people should just be to get god levels anyway. But then on the flip side is that I didn't want to be stuck in like an LFR or like a looking for raid and like go on normal raid and be like, hey, only frog farmers allowed. Like anybody with like X amount on their cloak can play with us, or like frog farm stats only. Like that. Something like that, where it's like I'm excluded because I didn't touch a frog, right? So
Well, you got to kiss the frog and then you turn into a cloak prince. That's what you got to
I don't
do.
want
Like that's
to.
just part of it. So, like, okay, I'm of two minds too, but I like where you're more understanding. I'm less kind of like, really, Blizzard. That's what you wanted this to be. You wanted this to be super overpowered, and so do I get it? Do I understand? Yes, I get it and I understand. But on the same side of that, it's like this was intended to be super broken and super overpowered. So the player base found a way to make it stupid broken and stupid overpowered. And then you didn't like that and you bopped it. But just like you mentioned, on the other side of that, had we not or had Blizzard not done that, I do think that you're absolutely right. Like the player base would have eventually there would have been some sort of meta that said frog strong only, and that's it. And if you don't have those stats, then you don't get to play, and then that would defeat the purpose of being super overpowered and being able to do raids with a low gear level and level just yourself. So
Yeah,
I just wish that they would have scaled back the frogs rather than bringing everybody else back. Um, but I don't know. I'm not a developer, so it doesn't really like what I think doesn't super matter. Um, but I just thought it was absolutely funny. I didn't get to participate in the frog farm or the kissing of the frogs. That's what I'm going to call it. But I did watch a few people on stream do it, and it was chaos, and it was absolutely funny to watch. And you got like really, really stupid strong, stupid fast. So, was anybody able to actually max out a cloak doing that?
no, I mean, I don't. Not to my
Does it
knowledge.
even have a max?
It's got a max. I think there is a max on it, but I don't know if actually I don't even know. I don't know what the max would be. I don't know if there's like maybe this has like a diminishing return effect, or it's like you know like you can only get so powerful, and it's just becoming a joke. That like you can keep getting threads, but there's a point where the threads are just it's just they're not doing anything. It's like, yeah, here's another 5%. you know, and you're like, my number can only go so high. I'm saying like,
Right.
um, so I don't know. So, well, uh, so like I said, Susan was going through Miss Pandaria for the first time together with me, going through the story. Susan noticed something. Now, for those of you that have not played Final Fantasy XIV, I guess spoiler alert: if you're not going to go play Final Fantasy XIV,
Specifically in Walker, that's what these spoilers are going to be for. They're going to be for the second to last expansion because
yeah,
Dawn Trail's about to be out. But for the Endwalker expansion, major spoilers ahead.
yeah. If you ever plan on playing it, you don't plan on playing it, well, you're in for a discussion. So during the time of Shadowlands, there was a lot of chatter about Blizzard is stealing the storyline, or Blizzard is stealing, like Blizzard's desperate and they're stealing from Final Fantasy XIV, right? Like big, which for those of us who play Shadowlands, if they stole, I don't know what they stole. They could put it back. So they put it right back. I don't know if they stole, but they could put it right back. They probably stole the content from the filler content from between the Endwalker and Dawn Trail, honestly, and they put that back. So come to notice, Susan was like, hey, Kasha. She's like, what is, like, people are getting negative emotions and they're becoming monsters. I was like, yeah, that's the thing here. She's like, isn't that just Dynamis from Final Fantasy XIV? I was so mad.
Well, we were both sitting like so we were trying to do some scenarios and things together, and then Susan brings that up, and then both of you, like, it was silent in our voice chat for like a good minute. We were just like, I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
I don't like that you're not wrong.
And for those of you that have played both, you're gonna be like, God damn it. like again, Susan does not have prior knowledge of Mr. Pandaria. She made the connection. So the fact that someone who's played Final Fantasy XIV story all the way through first, before going back and playing Pandaria, because Susan didn't start until Warlords of Draenor, so very much after Pandaria. She was like, "Oh, what the hell?" And then she saw the dragon in the Jade Forest like hides itself as a little kid, and she's like, "Wait a minute!" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Isn't that just?" I'm like, "Yeah, huh? Yeah, it is. It's sad, really. It's sad." And I want to point out that, remember, Yoshi P played World of Warcraft for a
Years.
basis. Well, remember, he also used it as a basis for Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn, right? He's like, hey, and what era did he play? Cataclysm Pandaria. Just saying. So, like, I know there's going to be people out there that are like, well, you know, you can't just go off those two things. There's other things involved, blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, sure, I agree. But also, if you think about it, let's really dig in if we need to. Like, you know, we can look at, you know, the ending of the world and people seeking for power, which isn't wrong, right? Like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of what Garrosh was doing, and really Garrosh wasn't trying to find emotions. Garrosh was trying to get powerful.
Yeah, and then what was Hermes trying to do? Oh yeah, what about Fandaniel?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's all a mess. So,
but I mean, so, you know, we're giving them a bit of a hard time. But as we said on the show many times before, if you enjoy a video game, enjoy that video game, no matter what it is. Like, we're here to play games, and when we play them together and collaboratively. If people are wanting to nitpick, this is I love bringing this up every single time. So, Flattus, are you a fan of Star Wars?
mm-hmm.
Do you like Star Wars?
I do like Star Wars.
You do like Star Wars. Okay, great. Do you like Luke Skywalker?
I do like Luke. He's cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. He's an orphan child left to his aunt and uncle in a remote place, right?
Yeah.
As a farmer.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, that does. And then the evil emperor, or like the evil bad guy, ends up being his father, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, man. And then the person who trains him is like an old wise guy who like no secret knowledge of the world that Luke doesn't.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Oh, you mean like Frodo, who we don't know who his parents are, who was raised by his uncle in the middle of nowhere, and Gandalf comes and oh shit.
Mhm.
Or you remember that book Aragon, like the Inheritance Cycle? I don't know if you ever read it. Yeah, Aragon was an orphan boy who was raised by his oh shit. What I'm saying is what I'm getting at.
Hey, Tal, you ever Dune?
Exactly. He took the words right out of my mouth. Because all of these great stories borrow from each other, and that's like how we have really nice things.
Pretty sure that's how Dune worked.
It's great. It is absolutely great. So like, give like all of these producers and these games, like they're borrowing from each other. Absolutely. 100%. And honestly, I look at it as a big sign of respect that Yoshi P, and he's mentioned it many, many times before as like, WoW did it first and they did it great. And I took what they did and made it my own.
Yeah.
Which I think is a huge compliment and a testament to just how great Blizzard and World of Warcraft is. I take that as a huge compliment and not like oh, you ripped us off. See, you're terrible. Rrr. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it's also what Blizzard do as well, right? Like that's what Blizzard do.
Oh yeah.
Like, they look at other MMOs, see what they're doing, and see how they can Blizzardify it and make it they might very much their own, like dragon riding, right? Dragon riding is just the mount system from Guild Wars 2, but on a scale where it's like, hey, it's a lot more digestible, I would say. There's a little less complexity to it. Yes, like Blizzard does make things a little simple, but also makes it very much fun, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of races in the world. There's a lot of like speed. Maybe there is a little like nuance to it. Like you can kind of min-max dragon riding if you're really good at it. So, but if you want to do that,
5,000 bronze if you do it right.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can. Yeah, that's you. So. So there's a lot there. There is a lot there. So like Blizzard be doing it. So I'm not surprised other places are also doing it. But you know what? Like it's inspired. Like something. For those of you, I know that this is getting. I don't want to get too far in the weeds with Final Fantasy 14, but something that their producer Yoshi P said. He's like, hey, I've realized I stepped too far away from making it the game feel like an MMO, and I want to put some more MMO-ness back into my game. What does that mean, and where is he going to pull from? Right, like he's got to pull from somewhere. Where is he going to pull from? So we'll wait and see with that when that expansion comes out. I am curious. So
yep, same. Well, and then War Within is right around the corner. So
I know. We'll be able to contrast and compare very,
very soon, like a 1-to-1 almost.
Yeah, it's going to be real tight. It's a real tight year this year because right now, hold on, let me confirm. I want to say almost every month. I want to say the ESO expansion, Gold Road. Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's tomorrow. So Gold Road tomorrow. Then you have Dawn Trail July, and then probably I would say September with War Within. I would say September. Be shocked if it's pushed back to October, but September. I would say September for War Within. Maybe mid-August, but I would say September. That's almost month to month of MMO releases. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and dude, like I'm really excited for it because it means that my summer's going to be really busy. But my summer was already going to be really, really busy. I'm doing a lot of traveling this summer, and so I'm just like, man, this was the like worst time for all of these things to come out personally.
Yeah,
because I'm going to be traveling abroad. And then as soon as I get back from traveling abroad, I'm going to the East Coast. Yeah. And then I'm going to spend some time there. And then I'm going to like barely come back in time for Dawn Trail, which means I'm barely going to have time to do anything for ESO, which also means that I'm barely going to have any time to do anything from the War Within. If like the projected release date is like end of July.
For what?
Maybe the middle of August? I think so. Isn't that?
No, because how many days do we have for remix left? I
Uh,
should say.
well, it's going to at least July, right? So,
There was what last I checked. There was like what 80 something days left on it.
oh, really that much?
I want to say. Let's see. How many days left of Mop remix? There's got to be like some weird counter. There's got to be an official like. Let's see. When it started, it's August. So it'll end Monday, August 19th. That means that War Within. I would expect War Within's pre-launch event to happen Tuesday, August 20th. That's when I predict that to happen, right? Because if MOP ends on the 19th, you have all these alts now that'll start fresh on August 20th. So plenty of time to get all that done. And then if that lasts 2 to 3 weeks, so the 20th, 27th, let's say that goes, I would say we could see War Within launching maybe, depending on how long they want the pre-launch event to last. And if they, I mean, sometimes they can say, hey, we're going to do a 3-week pre-launch event and like give everybody time to really like settle in and get all their characters, get all the gear, get all the mounts, get everyone, get, pets, whatever there is to offer, plus get all your characters geared up for this expansion. We could be looking at end of September, um, mid to end September for War Within, I would say. And beta's close too. I think we have a beta date already.
Maybe that's what I'm actually getting confused because I wanted to say that it was like really soon.
Beta test starts June 5th. So, right.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
2 days after ESO. So, but it's beta, so they're.
Well, and I avoid beta most of the time anyway. But
yeah, same. I mean, if I try not to go in there just mostly for story things. Like I would, if I was going to go in there, I'd only play with like character creator or something like that. But there's not too many updates. They've been just giving those updates to us, period, without having to go through an expansion to get that stuff. So,
hey, before we move on, I want to say something really quick because while we're recording, I'm also like jumping around and doing stuff.
Yeah.
The mounts that you could get from doing the 4 Lords on Timeless Isle?
Yeah.
The super rare August Rising Phoenix?
Yeah.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Guess who got it?
You just got it?
Right now, dude. Right now.
Nice. Congrats.
Dude, I was like, I had to mute my mic because I was screaming just a bit, but I was like, the August Phoenix, yeah, literally right here, dude. Sitting on it in all of its glory, dude. This is freaking hype. Let's go. Very excited about that. I'm going to show this to Susan and definitely show off because she always gets the stupid rare stuff. And I got one for once. So let's go.
Nice. All right. So last we had a question from the community. Shantyman Gaming, Susan and I were streaming Mop Remix the other night. And Shantyman came into I have another podcast called MMO Respec. We're launching soonish, I would say. We're waiting on finishing our art assets, but we were streaming on that channel, and Shantyman, who listens to the WoW Nightcap, came in and said, "Hey, I have a question." So he put it in our Discord to ask us. So he would like to know which expansion we'd like to see remixed next. So I had some thoughts. What about you? What do you think, or do you need some time to think about it?
No, if I wanted to see one as a remix, Shadowlands.
Really?
I want to see Shadowlands as a remix.
So soon already? Yes. Bridging between War Within and Midnight, Shadowlands remix?
Absolutely. Wow. But let me tell you why. Because they have, with the way that they've handled Classic, and I mentioned it at the top of the show, that I kind of feel like Panda Remix is like classic, but being super overpowered. And that's just like, that's how I feel about it. I want to see what they would do with Shadowlands if they had a redo button. And if we could get a remix for that, that would be, that'd be real cool. Not gonna lie. Not because I like want to see, how do I put that? Not because I would like want to go super overpowered and like go smack the jailer or vampire daddy like with super OP stats, but I really do want to see like what it would be like in a what if scenario, and they had a chance and an opportunity to fix some of the things that didn't go exactly right, like the gear treadmill. Right? How much better would it be going into it starts with a T. Why am I blanking on it? The dungeon you had to do over and over again.
Oh man, now I can't think of it either.
Not the Mage Tower, because I wish they would have brought that. But it started with a T, and I can't remember it, and I'm like feel so bad right now. But
Torghast.
Torghast, there you go. Kept on wanting to say Tarkov, but that's not it.
Oh.
Torghast. That's a whole different game.
That's a whole different thing.
But Torghast, imagine going into Torghast and it went a lot faster with the super OP gear and stuff that we can get now, right? Plus some of the weird craziness that happened already inside of Torghast. Like, would that be a more enjoyable experience? I think that it would, right? And then what happens when you're just like given all of the, because some of the sets during that time were really, really nice, but most people really didn't care. Like, it didn't matter how cool it looked. If you just didn't want to play the game, you just want to play the game. And then what happens if like you're in the Shadowlands and you're trying to like do all the overworld stuff, but it actually gave you rewards proportionate to what you were doing, like all the bronze that you're getting for doing overworld stuff in Panda Remix, right? Like, so that your time is rewarded and not wasted. I don't know, something to think. It's something to chew on. And would that change the perception of Shadowlands for some people? Now, taking the story part out of it, because, I don't think Sylvanas was written well. I think them saying that, it was the jailer pulling a fast one on everyone, yada, yada, yada. I think that was very lazy writing. Like, we've already talked about that in previous episodes, like years ago. But gameplay wise and mechanics wise, I think there's a golden opportunity there. So I would like to see a Shadowlands remix.
Okay. See, I didn't want to jump on Shadowlands too quickly because I think it's still lingering for some people. I think, like, much like I know that Pandaria, a lot of people just didn't. Pandaria, some people just didn't like, right? Like, or they didn't appreciate it at the time. Now appreciate it looking back on it. So now giving it a second breath of fresh air. Chance. Yeah, I think people are like, oh yeah, no, I love Pandaria. My thought is that maybe they would go back and do like BC or Wrath, and like let people experience those things not in a classic form, but in a form that's a little more digestible, and like let people play in a way that again allows you to be OP and overpowered and let you run things in a way that's like, oh, this is really fun. I can make a couple characters, really play some things, get things, where I want them to be. I think that would be fun for a lot of people.
I can see BC being exactly that.
Yeah, so
I can absolutely see. But I don't know if Wrath would experience that. So then let me ask you a question with that sort of mentality in mind. Do you think that maybe BFA could experience some love in that?
You could do Battle for Azeroth. I think you could absolutely do Battle for Azeroth.
Like, that one's not as far removed, right? And so that maybe that one works a little bit better.
It could. I think you could absolutely do that one. I think one of the reasons I said BC or Wrath is because Wrath had a really kind of coherent storyline per zone. Like, you were introduced, like you could start in two different areas, but the storylines were done really well. Mm-hmm. And it had a lot of memorable dungeons and raids, and the Lich King was very prominent in the storylines going across the zones. You had some.
So then, would you suggest that if we're gonna do another remix, it has to be from one of those expansions that has Linear is not the right way to say it, but more of a cohesive like direction in its story
I
for it to benefit from remix treatment.
I don't think it needs. I think you can remix anything. I don't think it needs to have any sort of specific old or new content. I think you can remix anything. The only reason I'd like to see the 2 older ones is because I think about people like Susan who never experienced those things. Like, you're never gonna get Vanilla WoW, right? Like, you're never gonna get remixed Vanilla WoW, right? Cataclysm would be hard to remix, in my opinion, because there's a lot. Like, they redid the old zones and the new zones, right? Like, you got old world content that became new world content, and then you have the expansion Cataclysm areas that are in specific zones spread across everywhere. I'm saying, like, unless they did something like, hey, we're gonna have time portals, and you're gonna be able to jump between the zones directly anywhere you're at. Like, you're gonna give you this thing that lets you pick what area, and you can just boom, you're in like, Nashatar, right? Like, you go from X to Nashatar, right? And then and then it's got a cooldown on it for like 10 minutes, like 10 or 15 minutes. So it's not super long, but you can go to those zones and kind of jump around. I'd be down for that. Like, part of the cloak's power is being able to teleport you to one of the zones. You just choose the zone, like it has like a mage portal drop down list. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
and it just lets you pick what zone you want to go to next in level. You could do that way. That way, you're not having to like take yourself in and out of a specific area, because remember Pandaria, you're in a bubble, right? Like, you're in this bubble world. I That would be hard for them to keep people in that bubble world unless they specifically keep the zones in the bubble world. That's why I was thinking like BC, because it's its own area, or Wrath, but it's its own area. Battle for Azeroth, because it's in its own 2 separate areas, but still areas that are together. That you also have um, Legion. I mean, Legion was well liked. Like, I think if you got, if the cloak gave you power, people wouldn't have to worry. Like, they could even figure out a way to like power level the weapons in such a way where it's not feeling like a slog either. Like, hey, like, we're gonna just give you like jacked out weapons. Like, every time you level the cloak, you're gonna get like this. We're gonna give you this extra thing that just zonks out your weapon. Your weapon's gonna get slammed real fast, and then you can still go unlock a bunch of the you can use the bronze to unlock a lot of the skins for the weapons that people maybe never got. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of potential with this. I think you and I are maybe even just scratching the base surface. I didn't even think, like, I just thought about it now. Like, I didn't even think about like Legion and like unlocking like weapon skins, right? Like, that's a big thing. Like, people really like the weapon skins. Some people would even get the class hall mounts, right? Like, because you had to play that class and you had to see your class hall order campaign all the way through to get them out. There's some
Oh
people
yeah, absolutely.
like, I know you're just now playing a mage, but would you slog through? I'm pretty sure it wouldn't take as long, but would you slog through Legion content to level up your class hall to get the mage mount? You're thinking long and hard.
Well, because I don't like that. Like, it's the stupid mana thing, right? So I don't like that. Like, it's basically just a reverse teardrop. So I don't like that one. But like, thinking about some of the other one, like, because you'd be able to do any class, right? You'd
Yeah.
be able to do any class at all and just go power level it and like go through that. And like, see, I liked the order halls and I liked Warlords of Draenor. Like, I am in the camp where I liked both of those things. Yeah, I would like the opportunity to do it for any of them, but like, if we're talking specifically mage, like, I'm having a lot of fun doing this with mage because like I can stand from, middle of nowhere and just nuke everything before it even has a chance to sneeze on me. And I think that's great. And I don't have to worry about dying when it gets to me. So that's a whole lot of fun, and doing something in a cool and wacky way. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. I would love to explore that again and like do the order hall stuff. And then that also gives you an opportunity to like level the weapons again. And maybe you have to do the weapons like get Azerite again as you're doing the content. But since you're able to fly through the content, you're going to get more Azerite while you're doing it. Plus all the other stuff that we're seeing right now available in Remix, dude, I think that's a total win. But then now comes the other question: do we just do this again for every expansion? because I can see this working for every expansion. In fact, now that I said Warlords of Draenor, now I want it more for Warlords. Can I change my answer? I don't want it for Shadowlands. I want it for Draenor because I think that would be super, super cool.
Yeah.
And being able to truck through and work with the Frost Wolves again would just be like a 10 out of 10. Just throwing that out there.
You could absolutely do it for anything, and I think that's kind of the beauty of this system. Now the question is, how do they implement it? Is it just when it pops up? Like if you let's say like we have we have up until August, right? It gives me a chance to level. Let's say if I power level all the classes I want right now, right? And then during the expansion, I level all of them up, and then I'm like, all right, well, the next time this rolls around, am I just doing it for funsies? Like maybe the be all end all goal shouldn't be your remix character, but maybe it's said, hey, we'll figure out a way so you don't have to power level a blank character. We can copy your character and you're in a dimensional pocket, and this is a separate leveling thing, kind of like a Torghast system or something like that, where it's like, hey, you have to go in here with your character, and it's gonna be gear agnostic. But I don't know. Maybe they just say, hey, it's gonna be a separate little thing. You could just level a character if you want to keep the character. Great. If you don't want to worry about it, don't worry about it.
I mean, either way would be super great.
Yeah.
But do you think that? So we talked at the top of the show. We brought up Plunderstorm and how much Remix seems to be doing better than Plunderstorm, but Plunderstorm not suffered isn't the right word, but had just the reality of it being PvP, and people aren't a whole lot really in tune with PvP. Would you like to see more Remix versus more Plunderstorm? Should they go every off season we do one and then the other? How do you balance that? Because
I think you do both.
Seen a lot of really cool stuff.
I think you do both. I think there's room for both in the world.
Launch them at the same time?
I don't think you do them. I don't think you do them at the same time. I think doing them at the same time will hurt. If anything, it won't help. I think that if you do them separately, hey, we know we're going to have a content drought here, Plunderstorm, and if it's not a long drought, right? Hey, we're going to have this 2-month-ish drought, Plunderstorm. We're going to have this gap in between a ending of an expansion and the beginning of the next one. Then you do a remix. I think that fills the gap, right? Because think about it. If we didn't have remix, what would you be doing right now? You'd be playing something else. And you're not focused in on World of Warcraft because you just said, I don't really do the beta because you try to stay, you and I try to stay pretty story free up until the expansion launches.
Right.
We don't want to really see the dungeons or the dells really. There's not much for us outside of hey, until the pre-launch event happens, there's nothing for us to do. Think about other MMOs, right? Where they're I would say ESO's probably in the there's stuff to do in ESO all the time. So ESO, I'm not going to count in that, but I think of other MMOs where hey, what is there to do in between, once you've done all the content, like Final Fantasy 14, I'm just going to bring that one back up. There's a good example right now. I'm not playing Final Fantasy 14 right now because to me, there's nothing to do in Final Fantasy 14 right now. There's a bunch of events they're bringing back, but they're the same old events, and there's the same old, there's nothing new in those events, right? There's no new gear, there's no new pets, there's no new mounts, there's nothing new for me. There's no draw, there's no carrot on the stick. And yes, the saying of their directors oh, play other games, but to me, and Talan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the point of an MMO, I'm not trying to say the point of it is to not respect my time. I love that an MMO can respect my time. Guild Wars 2 respects time. Final Fantasy 14 fairly respects your time. But if I actually want to play the game and there's nothing to do, right, that I would want to do. I'm not saying there isn't anything to do, but if there's nothing to draw me to go play, then it's less of a go play something else. It's more of a I don't want to be. I have a house. I gotta give you money. You know what I'm saying? But that's that one's specific to 14. I could, let's say, New World, right? There's gonna be a point, right? And New World. That's why they had to release an expansion, right? They released they did a giant content drop and dropped a whole zone. But then they dropped an expansion and they're dropping new content. They're like there has to be something feeding the content train, right? There has to be like point 0.5 pat, like there has to be something. But if you have a drought in between, end of an expansion and beginning of the next one, and there's nothing to do, we feel it. We know that WoW's had that issue in the past.
Right. And I'm
Mr.
glad you
Pandaria
brought
is a
that up.
good. I was gonna say Mr. Pandaria is a good example of that because people were just nothing. They had nothing to do, and all they did was just raid.
Yeah.
What's it called? The last raid in Pandaria, which was oh, I forgot
Not
the
the
name of it.
Thunder one.
No. It was Siege of Orgrimmar,
Yeah.
right? Like that. People did that for over a year, and it like burnt people out because there was nothing else. That's tough. That's tough. So.
Well, and so like I said, I'm really glad that you brought that up because that brings up a super awesome. Sorry for my super squeaky chair. That brings up a very excellent point and something that I think Blizzard should be applauded for. Even if Remix and Plunderstorm are not your cup of tea, um, that's perfectly fine. But MMOs do suffer from content drought. It doesn't matter how good your MMO is. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14 being great examples of those award-winning MMOs, Elder Scrolls as well. But when, just like you said, when there's a content drought, you know it and you feel it. And to have Blizzard sit here and go, okay, well, we've tried to just let it sit before. We've tried to tell people just level and all. We've tried to just say this is all the stuff we had planned for this. And none of that really worked. You go off and play other games, right? You're not as engaged into the conversation of what you're playing. So what do we do? Well, let's try to remix it. And so even if this isn't your cup of tea, and there's definitely some improvements that can be made, like we talked about that about the middle of the show, it's very refreshing to see an MMO try to keep you engaged, knowing that they're going to hit a content drought. So I guess the moral of that story is planning for a drought, but leading you to a well. Like we know that we're going to go into a content desert, but there's a small little oasis. It won't be like a city proper, right? But you'll be able to enjoy your time and rest a bit while you get ready for the next big thing. And I don't think that's a bad thing. In fact, I think that they should be applauded for it. Again, even if remix is not your thing, even if you have some complaints about it, I mean, just like this show in particular, like we're talking about it and it's been out for like 4 weeks now. We haven't been able to record because I was sick. We're still engaged with it. I'm still having a great amount of time, and I've already done Mists of Pandaria before. Like I enjoyed it then. I enjoy it now, and just being able to sit here and have a reason to log in and not sit there and go, well, I'm paying my $15 a month, but what do I do? Do I just end my sub and then just resub when something else comes out? For an MMO, just like you said, like it should keep you engaged. It should keep you wanting to continue to pay that subscription to be engaged with the content that they're trying to get you to play. And at some point, especially like how long have we been playing World of Warcraft? I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 for 11 years. So that means that I've been playing World of Warcraft for 15 years. Like after a while, you're going to need something else to do. Like, I don't care how much you love anything. After a while, you're going to want to shake it up, right? Blizzard is addressing that. They're addressing that. And not only are they addressing it, they're addressing it with the feedback of the community and trying to give people something to organically do. Because Mists of Pandaria right now, the remix, this isn't just do this until content drops and then you lose everything, right? There's a reason behind what you're doing it, right? Specifically, you can gear alt. You can get ready for the next expansion. If you, let's say you don't know what you want to play in the War Within, you can literally level one of every class and then decide and play each one and then decide which one you want to be your main. Or do them all. Yeah, I think you'd be a crazy person, but if you've got that much time, go for it. But it is respecting your time, and it's respecting your time in such a way where it respects your wallet. And I think that's the biggest thing. You're logging in, you're playing, you're engaging with the content, but you're also not wasting your money. and you're not just sitting around waiting for the new thing and just log it in because you spent your money.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you, man. It's
That was a very long rant, but like,
yeah,
dude,
no,
like
I'm with you.
it just hit me, man. Like I can't think of another MMO that has purposely planned to do something about their content drought, and I'm struggling really hard to think of anything that's ever done that.
It's it's a tough thing. Like ESO, I want to talk about ESO for a second. We talked about Final Fantasy, but I want to talk about ESO because in ESO, right, like they plan their content drops in a form of let me believe it or not, I've played ESO enough to know their content drops, right? So like when they do their chapter, right? So their chapters are expansion, like oh, Necrom was their last chapter, right? And there's tons tons of story in there, tons of side quests. They do a good job about filling up the chapter with a lot of content and a lot of dungeons and stuff like that. And then they do free updates and DLC game packs, right? It's the free update's going to be this like the last time they did a free update, they did the Infinite Archive, which is a never-ending dungeon, right? Like in the just all new collectibles, achievements, class sets, armor, like all that fun stuff. Um, and then they do a DLC pack, which is a whole new storyline, bunch of new stuff, bunch of new like I think it gives you a couple hours of things to do, but probably a couple dungeons, and then they release their new chapter. So like it's all timed out. Like they plan on the timeout to be the timing of things to be very, 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 very good about it. And they do I think a release every year. So like their content cadence is very much like you could kind of set a clock to their content cadence, but it's not a bad thing when you think about like, all right, well, like I know I'm going to get this, and then mid-year I'm going to get this update, and then quarter, like by the end of the expansion cycle, I'm going to get the last final DLC. That's going to carry me until the next chapter. Done. All right, cool. Like, good to know. Like, that's great, fantastic. Like, that's good to know. Like, and like, I gotta give credit to ESO because, like you're saying, like, you know, respect my wallet. And ESO is free to play, by the way. So, like, really,
They
like,
do a really good job of that already. Yeah.
yeah, they already respect your wallet. Like, you don't have to pay them a sub. You can, there's some benefits to doing it, but you don't have to. So with that, there's always the concept of, what's out there. Now, far be it from me. There's there's Elder Scrolls, but there's EverQuest, right? And EverQuest 2. And those are older games with a plethora of content in them. And they're much slower games, and they have a different way of dealing with content. And they're still like pumping out, expansions around like 20, 25 and 24 respectively. So, or
Mm-hmm.
30 or something like that. Maybe I should say 30 and 25 respectively. And
Doesn't EverQuest have like 25 expansions right now?
something like that. EverQuest is deep right now. It's deep. It's I'm sure if I go click on their website, they're going to tell me like, "Hey, guess what?" Yeah, they're celebrating their 25th anniversary this year alone. So I
Holy
would,
crap.
yeah, I mean, they've been around forever. And then you have New World has been around for a couple of years. I know some people like, it ebbs and flows over there, and oh, I forgot about Lord of the Rings Online. That's still holding pretty strong over there, honestly. So there's a bunch of games that do content, how they handle their content very differently. Some of them just do like a big old drop, and then there's tons of content. You just do it, and if you run out, you run out. But WoW starting to change the narrative and how they're handling their droughts, and hopefully trying to fill the void in with some other content that's fresh. I would love to see more of it. I would love to see just them experiment with other things too, outside of Remix and Plunderstorm, right? Like I would love to see them do like more, like they did that whole like secret hiding quest line, right, in the middle of Dragonflight. Like, please do that
Mm-hmm.
again, but maybe do a whole big event. Like, hey, like this is gonna be like a expansion long, hidden discovery event. Like, it's gonna be, the reward at the end is gonna be crazy, and there's gonna be rewards along the way, but it's all secret hunting. It's all, you know, timed, like you'll get, like you can still do it, but if you don't do it in a certain amount of time, you might not get that reward, but you can still continue the storyline or would continue the questing and the secrets or whatever, which is what they did with the last one, right? Like if you did the last one, you got 2 mounts, but if you do it after the fact, you only got 1, right? Like, and like, that's cool. Like you're still getting something, you may not got the other mount, and that's perfectly fine. It's, but if you get 1 mount, it's still something. Like you still did the quest line, you still got a mount, but it was secret. It was all secrets. So I think there's something there. So I would love to see more of that. So remix, I think, is the step in the right direction for what WoW's got coming down the pipeline. We know that they're cooking with the War Within. We know from the little I tried to stay pretty spoiler free, but I know that they're cooking. I've heard so far that the dungeons are based in the realm of fun and less in the realm of how would this feel in a mythic sort of environment, which is breath of fresh air for me. Yeah.
I think if that's how you start your design choices, then the mythic part will then intrinsically be more engaging and fun, just because you started from the platform of fun rather than the platform of how do we make this balls hard.
Yeah, and make it fun first, and then like figure out how to make it balls hard later.
Yeah.
And if people don't like it, then that's their fault. Like you're
not wrong.
Like
you don't have to play on every piece of equipment on the playground. You don't have to.
Yeah, if you have to be mad and be like the guy that got so mad as a warlock that he quit and made Ethereum, then you got problems. So everyone love that little story. It gets me every time. So that's all I think we have for talking about Remix and all the content that WoW is currently delivering. We'll got some more coming down the line. Waiting to hear. It looks like the Pharax skin for the dragons is still dropping, even though it was supposed to end. So maybe next time we'll talk about Perky Pugs and kind of what they're doing if Blizzard confirms that the Pharax skin is still going to drop up until a certain point before. See if Perky Pugs fires back up and starts getting people clears for their dragon skins for the end of the expansion, which is a nice little event. So if it is, we'll make sure we'll let everybody know about it. That way, if you want to try to get your dragon skin for your fiery dragon, we'll make sure we'll let people know about it. So that's all I have for this expansion. This episode. Down, do you have anything else?
No, I think we could probably talk for hours and hours and hours about this, but I think we definitely covered all the main points. I'm excited for the War Within. I'm going to be enjoying being super OP in Pandaland, and just going to be hanging out till the next episode. I really do hope that I will be able to get my fire dragon, because I couldn't be bothered to do a lot of the raids this expansion. Not because they weren't fun, it's just I have real life going on. So I was like, man, I'm just too tired. Just too tired to try to go in there and do that. So if it's still dropping and Perky Pugs is going to let you jump in and do it, I may sneak over and try to make that happen.
Oh, we can only hope. So if Blizzard says, yeah, go ahead and get your skins, which I think they should, then let the event continue. I think it's a nice way to let the community kind of come together and celebrate. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on this episode of the WoW Nightcap. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We hope you had a lovely time. We got the tab. Don't worry about that. But make sure you're leaving, because it's last call. And we needed you to skedaddle on out of here. Remember, adventure responsibly, and we'll see you in the next episode. Also, by the way, don't forget, go to our link tree and then, / WoW Nightcap, and you'll find the linkies to all of our social media shenanigans. So see what we're up to. And you can also email us, by the way, if you want to send us questions. Email, Discord, get at us. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.